How to get ahead of 99% of cleaning companies. So no matter where you're based around the country or around the world, there'll be other cleaning companies competing against you, trying to win the same clients as you. And in this video, I'm going to take you through the 5 most important things to be aware of to maximize your chances of success. So let's jump straight into it. So first of all, we need to respond quickly to new leads and to follow up repeatedly. This is a mistake that I come across with many cleaning business owners out there. They will get a message for a potential client and it may take them 15 minutes, half an hour, even a day before they get back to those new leads. And really, it is imperative that you get back to new inquiries as quickly as possible. So in my cleaning business, we always used to respond to new leads within 5 minutes, because what you find is that as a potential client who is looking to engage with a new cleaning company, they will often, get in touch with one company and they'll keep following up and contacting other cleaning companies until they come across someone that they want to book service with. So the longer you leave it to get back to a new company, the more likely that that person will have spoken to other cleaning companies, and the more likely that that person would have ended up booking service elsewhere. So the speed of response is really, really important, particularly if you're getting a message through your website. Obviously, the other way that people get in touch with you is by phone. And, this is a very obvious thing to say, but we obviously want to minimize the number of missed calls in our business. And this becomes particularly more of a problem if you have virtual assistants or office managers in your business. Obviously, as the business owner, if you're taking all the calls, you know if you're missing any calls. But when you bring in a virtual assistant or office manager to take your calls for you, it is really, really important that you track the missed calls, the missed call percentage in particular. Ideally, we want to be picking up 100% of the calls, but really, if we're missing more than 10% of our inbound calls, then that is a problem. It is either potentially a problem with your virtual assistant, for whatever reason, not picking up the calls, or maybe you're getting so many calls from existing clients and other inquiries that maybe that is the point where you need to bring in a new or an additional virtual assistants to help pick up with those additional calls. So the speed of response to new inquiries is imperative. What you'll find is that if a potential client is calling you and you are picking up 95% of the calls straight away, that puts you ahead of the vast majority of cleaning companies out there. So the lead comes in often when you are following up. Say someone has messaged through your website and you call them back, many times that person will not call up. And this is where the follow-up is super important, because ideally you want to get that prospect on a phone call with you so you can answer questions, build rapport. That is generally the best way to close a potential lead to a booked client. But if you call them up and you don't get through to them, you need to follow up repeatedly, and you need to follow up through various channels. So if you call them back but don't get through, send them a text message, leave them a voicemail, send them an email as well. But don't do it just once that day. If you still haven't heard back from them by the same day tomorrow, you need to follow up again and use those same channels again. And there is a bit of an art to how you follow up, because you don't want to pester someone with the same message, are you interested in cleaning? Please call us. You want to find different ways to follow up with that client. So maybe you drop them a link to your Google reviews to show the quality of your service. Maybe you drop them a link to your frequently asked questions just to go through any common questions or concerns people might have. Maybe you drop them a coupon code as well. And these are all different ways to follow up with that same client without appearing to be pestering them. And you'll be amazed how many people after day 3 or 4 get back to you and say, I'm sorry, I was tied up at work. Let's go ahead and book service. So follow up with leads quickly, but make sure you follow up with them repeatedly as well. So point 2 is that you want to track quality closely. Again, if you're obsessed or obsessive about the quality of your service and your client ratings, this will put you far ahead of your competition. Because the reality is no matter how good your marketing is, how good your systems and processes are, if the quality of your service, so that is both the cleaning and the customer service, is ahead of your competition, there is no better way to scale your business, because client referrals will drive a lot of your growth. And the better your service, the happier your clients, the more referrals you will get. So track your client ratings after each cleaning. Ideally you're sending a follow-up email or text message after every cleaning to get your clients to rate your service. And this is another thing to be aware of. If you can put a number to the quality of your service, so let's say 4 stars out of 5 or 90%, this will really help you track improvements in quality or declines in quality. So email them, text them. Ideally, if you're using a scheduling software like ZenMaid or Booking Koala, there is an automated follow-up sequence that the software sends out to clients, and they can simply click 4 stars out of 5 or 5 out of 5 or whatever number you're using. You want to start collecting these client ratings, because you want to start to see, when you look at all your cleaners will start to get a rating associated with them, so all the client ratings, and you can then determine at what point quality is becoming an issue. So in my business, whenever a cleaner dropped below a 90% average rating, so 4.5 stars out of 5, then that would get flagged to us as a potential quality issue, and we would need to work with that cleaner to try to bump them up above that 90% level. So that was the way that we maintain quality. Again, the fact that you're tracking quality in this way would put you well ahead of the vast majority of your competitors out there. So if you're finding the content helpful, please like and subscribe. It really helps me. Let's jump on to point 3. So point 3 is tracking your marketing and recruitment efforts. And really, this is being very detailed about which marketing channels are working, which recruitment channels are working, and not relying on gut feel. This is a very common mistake I see with many cleaning business owners, particularly early on, is they may put a bit of money into Google Ads, or they put a bit of money into Facebook, they send some flyers out, and there is no way that they're really tracking their return on investment. So ideally, where we want to get to is we want to see, for every dollar we put into Google Ads, how many dollars are we getting out? $2, $3, $4? Or are we making breaking even, or are we losing money? Far too many cleaning business out there will sort of rely on their gut feel. So they put $1,000 into Google Ads next month, and they think, okay, yes, I get the feel that we've been busier, we've been getting more calls, let's keep going, or let's put more money in. Or if we haven't been getting more calls, then actually maybe it's not working. That is the way not to do it. What you need to do is to get your tracking watertight, so that you can get to the position where, let's say you've invested $1,000 into Google Ads, and that we've had X number of lead forms, price quote requests, and Y number of calls. And then you can start to see, okay, out of those leads, out of those quote requests, out of those calls, what percentage of those leads turn to book clients? And then from that number, each book client, how much money did they spend with you? How much did you pay out for your cleaners? And that will leave your profit. This is your gross profit, and this is really a very important number in your business, because you can then start to see, okay, I put in $1,000 in this month, and I got this amount of gross profit dollars back out. And obviously, you want to be prioritizing those marketing channels that are generating the most profit, and taking the money from the lower profit channels and putting it into the highest performing channels. So this is something that a lot of people will be aware of, particularly on the client marketing side, but we also want to use the same approach with our recruitment efforts as well. So I talk a lot about Indeed.com. That is the main website that people use to recruit cleaners. So you want to be making sure that, okay, you're putting money into Indeed, but maybe you're running a Facebook ad to recruit cleaners, or maybe you've put an advert in a local corner shop to find cleaning applicants as well. And in exactly the same way, we want to be able to track how many applicants we got from that particular Indeed ad, how many cleaners did we sign up, and you want to do it in the same way. Look at your cost per applicant, cost per interview, cost per new cleaner, those types of metrics, and you want to be using that in the same way as you used it in your marketing efforts for your recruitment efforts. And obviously max out those channels where you're getting the most number of applicants for your budget, and take it away from the channels where you're getting fewer applicants for the same dollar amount. So tracking your marketing and recruitment efforts in this way, again, will put you ahead of the vast majority of your cleaning business competitors. So point 4 is then to track your KPIs for your business, your key performance indicators. And this is really where things start to get interesting as the business owner, because when you start to get to this position, that is when you can really bring in a virtual assistant or an operations manager to manage the business for you. And then as the business owner, you are relying on tracking your KPIs to see if the business is moving in the right direction or the wrong direction. And you can set budgets and set goals and figure out how to hit those goals. So with your key performance indicators, the way that I look at it in my cleaning business is that you have what's called leading indicators and lagging indicators. So a very obvious KPI that you want to be tracking in your business is, your revenue. What does your monthly revenue look like? Is your monthly revenue been growing? You can also look at your gross profit. So after you pay your cleaners, what is left behind? That is your gross profit. Is your gross profit growing with time? Falling with time? Those are very, very obvious KPIs that you want to be tracking. And yes, I look at those closely, but for me, I would say they are lagging indicators. We want to be looking at leading indicators as well. And what do I mean by a leading indicator? So for me, what is a more important metric in my business is looking at the number of recurring clients that you've added that month, the number of recurring clients that have cancelled that month, and then the net growth in your recurring clients. These are more important metrics for me than the actual revenue or profit. And they are leading indicators, because if you bring on a new weekly client today, you're not actually going to see the full benefit of bringing on that client until they've spent 4 weeks worth of weekly revenue with you. So you probably won't be seeing the benefit of that new client until maybe next month's numbers as well. So you don't see the revenue benefit, but you know that you've acquired that new recurring client. They are going to start stacking some additional revenue with you. So I can see in my business, if we are adding more recurring clients than we're losing, then the business is on the right direction, but we might not start to see the benefit of that until, say, the next month or the month after that. So look at the key performance indicators in your business, identify the handful of KPIs that are most important, and try to look at your leading indicators as opposed to your lagging indicators, because this will give you a much better idea of if the business is on the right direction or not. If it's not, you need to make some changes, and this will again put you ahead of the vast majority of competitors out there. So once you have your KPIs, then we move on to point 5, and that is your systems and processes. And this is partially linked. So when you are thinking about, bringing in a virtual assistant or a office manager into your business to help manage operations, you can't really do that until you have nailed down your systems and processes. And ideally, you want to have this in like handbook form. So it could be an online handbook like a Google Doc, for example, or you could have written it down. But really what this handbook should look like is that it should be a list of all the main systems and processes in the business that you see on a day-to-day and a week-to-week basis in terms of how the business runs. So it could be from all the client side, things like, someone calls up to ask for a quotation, how do you answer that quotation? How do you provide a quote? We need to ask for the size of the property. We need to ask for frequency. We need to check the locations to check it's within our area. All these types of things would go into your systems and processes handbook, because really where you want to get to is you want to get to a position where you can simply hand over that handbook, give the access to that handbook to a virtual assistant, and really anything that comes into the inbox, any calls, any messages, should be able to be dealt with by the virtual assistant by just referring to that handbook. So all the client stuff would be in there. You maybe already have scheduled clients, and that scheduled client will call you and say, okay, can we change the time, the start time? How would the VA go about that? Maybe they need to go into the scheduling software, they go into their ZenMaid software and then change the booking. These types of step-by-step processes would be within your handbook. So that would be on the client side, but again, on the cleaner side, maybe you're getting cleaners applying for jobs, maybe you're running interviews, maybe you've got a cleaner who's ill today. How do you deal with all those clients that need to be rescheduled? Again, those would all need to go into your handbook. So your systems and processes are really, really important. The way I tend to advise people to look at it is that, as the business owner, usually you are the one at the beginning running the business, running all the operations. So the way to do it is, to open up a Google document, and over the course of the week, just jot down all the different things that you do on a day-to-day basis for the business. So quoting for jobs, booking jobs in, interviewing cleaners, charging clients, there'll be lots of different things. You'll have a long list, and then you want to start to categorize them so it becomes more manageable. So these will be like the client side, or the new clients. These are the booked clients, cleaner interviews, existing cleaners, and then maybe all the admin, the payments, and all those types of things. And you want to put all these these items into these categories, and then start to build out that handbook. And this will be something that will continue to evolve and improve with time. And then the idea is that once you have the vast majority of things jotted down, you can then start to bring in a virtual assistant and start to outsource and get them to help with certain parts of the running of the business. Ultimately, you really want to get to the position where you are completely hands-off as the business owner. You have the VAs running the business for you as per the handbook. And then you can start to just manage the business by looking at the KPIs and tracking the KPIs in the business. But systems and processes are a super important part of it. The VA will be able to do a lot of the more manual parts of the business. But actually, the other really interesting part of this is if you can identify the software to automate many of these processes for you. So particularly things like, booking reminders or payment processes, things like this can all be automated by software. And typically software will be cheaper than a person. Then if you hired a VA to do those actions for you, they'll be cheaper, but they'll also be more reliable. They don't take sick leave, they're not on vacation. So generally, if you can find software and technology to help with your systems and processes automation, this again will set you aside from the vast majority of other cleaning businesses out there. And in this next video, what I'll talk about is the top 5 apps that I use in my cleaning business. They're really revolutionary. And one of the great things about using apps and software in your business is that it's really, really scalable. Whether you're doing 10,000 a month or 50 or 100,000 a month, often the same software can ramp up, and you don't need to spend a huge amount more money as your business grows. So I'll see you on the next one.